I'm Josh O'Neill. I'm from LaGrange, born and raised. It was last year. I was headed to a car show with my dad in Lineville, Alabama. And I started coughing a little bit that morning. And, it was so fresh and new on everybody's mind. And there was nothing really, concrete that we knew about COVID. So you just knew to kind of be aware of the symptoms. So I didn't think too much of it. But later throughout the day, as we're going through the car show, I started to develop a little bit of a fever. I had my son with me, and thinking about having my dad with me, who, he's 67 at the time. And so, with multiple comorbidities, heart disease, diabetes, a cancer survivor. As we're coming back home, that's when I started to get really sick and started to cough a bit more and things like that. So the next morning I woke up with 101 fever. So I went to the urgent care on West Point Road. They diagnosed me with COVID. So I immediately called my dad and told him to just kind of be mindful. I'm really sorry that I exposed you to this. It was about a day later is when Dad had said that he started to feel the symptoms. It affected him, I'd say, by day 2 or 3. His fever was so much that, it was starting to become a little bit uncontrollable. The thing about Dad is, if it's his name is Wade O'Neill. He's from LaGrange as well. As soon as he wakes up in the morning, he's on the go. He's energetic and just has a get it done attitude. And what I saw of Dad was the direct opposite of that person. He was, completely lethargic. He didn't want to talk. He just kind of withdrew, and stayed in the house, which, is a good thing. But to see someone who, is such a positive spirit, it was really disheartening to see him in that state. I think it was day 6 or day 7, his fever's at 103. I went over there and talked to him. I said, Dad, I really want you to go to the hospital with me, okay? He was in the hospital for about 2 days. Came home, started feeling somewhat better. His fever started to come down, but after about 3 days, I could see that he was just depressed. He being the person that he has always been, he was just staring at the wall. He was just sitting there, resigned to himself and staring at the wall. I think that day was the first day there was that breaking point to where he started to come back to normal. And after another couple of days, it was like you could see his eyes again, where he just had the light coming back in. And he said, I have no idea what just happened the last 10 days. I wasn't here. And finally, he started to come back around. Even after that, there were still months where he was completely short of breath. He wasn't able to go back to his activities of daily living like he was doing before. What scared me about COVID was the emotional toll that it took on him. And really, if I'm being honest, it was the emotional toll that it took on me, thinking that I'm about to lose my dad, because with 104 fever and being in the hospital for a couple of days, and even though I work for the hospital, I'm still not able to see him. I'm able to speak with the nurse or the doctor. There's still that anxiety and fear of having someone that you love, as much as I do my dad. And my dad's always been the guy that, if I need something, if I need, a project that I'm working on, he's the guy that I ask. He's my consultant. He's the guy that I call about everything in life, basically. So knowing that, I don't have that person mentally there right now, it was a very anxious moment. So I've never been a skeptic about vaccinations. My dad, however, he's a pretty conservative guy. There's a slight distrust in the government, but whenever he was as sick as he was with COVID, as soon as they had vaccines available for anyone over the age of 65, he was the first one in line the day that they were offering it. And I called him before this to kind of get his blessing about talking about this, and he said, yes, anything you can say to anyone to help them understand the importance of vaccinations and to show them just how scary COVID can be, that's what he wants to happen. If I were to try to convince someone about getting the vaccination, I would say that I know that it hurt me. I'm younger-ish, but I saw what it did to my dad at 67. I've seen what it's doing across the country with even with family members here in town. I have a stepsister that's in the hospital now. Seeing the devastation that it's left, I just know that I would much rather take my chances with vaccination than I would experiencing anything to do with COVID ever again.